So I want to start this video off by having this audio play. It's a video, but I'm going to play it as an audio. And I want you guys to listen, and then we're going to talk about it.
This is going to be a tough one, fellas. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, not just fellas, check this out. I needed my father. It broke me. My mother didn't keep him from me. He didn't want to know me. That's shitty. I don't make any excuses for that man whatsoever. Okay? This is a bad guy. I make no excuses for men who do not provide for or parent their children. Period. If they have access to those kids especially, I quadruple, centuple, do not like those men. And I make no excuses for them. But here's the thing. This is what we forget to do. Women, if you're having sex with a man without a condom and you're not on birth control and you're giving restricted access to your womb, okay? It's not a question of if you're going to get pregnant. It's a question of when, okay? And if you are having sex with a man, also, if you're doing that, you're a woman. This is what's under your control, ladies. Okay, ladies, if you also choose to do that for a man who does not want you for a wife and does not want children from you and is not asking you for kids, okay, then this is another thing that is inside of your control, okay? And you have kids who grow up and they feel this way, right? When the reason that their father didn't want them had nothing to do with them. They could have been a 6'3" left-handed pitcher. It didn't matter. They didn't want a child. And getting pregnant on a man who doesn't want a child doesn't make him want a child. Right? Okay. So, ladies, here's another thing to look at. Here's the third thing. Having unprotected sex with no birth control with men who already have children outside of wedlock that they're not parenting or providing for by women they did not marry. So those are three things that women are in control of that would decrease this down to a single-digit percentage. And right now in our community, we're at 74%. There's always going to be irresponsible men. Stop fucking them. All right?
Okay. I'm still writing because we're going to talk about this. Okay, so sex without a condom, that is definitely in a woman's control. Sex with a man that doesn't want a wife and is not asking for kids. How is that in a woman's control? If they tell you up front, that is a total different story. That is in a woman's control. Getting pregnant for a man that does not want a child. A man that did not want to marry you or have a child with you. If he tells you this up front, that is in your control. He said something about abortion pill, I believe, or birth control, right? And this is the arguments that are being presented for women. Now, I'm definitely one of the women to tell other women that keep your legs closed, right? But when you enter into a relationship with someone, when you enter into a situationship, whatever you want to call it, with someone where they're giving their body to you and both of you are indulging in unprotected sex, there's only two things that could come of that. One, an STD. Two, a child. Right? So if you do not want a child as a man, if you do not want a child with this woman, why are you indulging in unprotected sex with her? Why is it that all of a sudden this is her fault and she should take birth control? You could wear a condom, but then you don't want to wear a condom because the pleasures of skin to skin. But then you don't want this woman to be a girlfriend, whatever the case. You don't want her to be a wife, whatever the case. You do not want to have children with her, whatever the case. But you want to have sex with her without a condom? What she's supposed to get on birth control for the benefit of you. She's supposed to take an abortion pill or go to an abortion clinic after she gets pregnant on a consensus of you. We don't see the problem with this situation. And I know I made a video about this before, and I'm going to say this again. It takes two. It takes two, right? It takes two. She didn't lay down with herself unprotected and got herself pregnant. You were either behind her, underneath her, or on top of her. However the scenario goes, you played a role in the party, in the movie, in the scene. You were one of the main characters, buddy. You were one of the main characters. And this is the issue where a lot of women are having problems with the men. If you do not want to have a child with this woman, use protection. If you don't want a relationship with this woman and it's just a situationship, a consensus of sex, and you know you don't see a future with her, don't lead her on. Don't tell her you love her. Don't tell her you care about her. Do not give her the sentiments to make her feel comfortable within this situation, because a lot of men do this, right? They're sleeping with a woman. All of a sudden they love her. She's the best thing to happen to them. He's in prayer confession while you guys are laying down in the bedroom. All of a sudden you're pregnant. Now it's your responsibility. It's now singular. It's not two. It's now singular. And this is the issue that a lot of people are having. It can't take two to partake in this exchange of fluid. And then now all of a sudden it's a singular. It was all you. Well, I told you I didn't want a child. I told you that I didn't want a relationship. I told you I didn't want to make you my wife. So if you didn't want these things, why were you sleeping with her unprotected? Do we see the cognitive dissonance in this? Right? Your mouth is saying one thing, but your actions are saying another. She and you are exchanging body fluids on a regular basis. What do you expect to come of this situation? And as adults, this is a problem with society, and no one wants to take responsibility for their behavior and the things that they're doing, right? You want to blame it on one particular party. You want to tell women to choose better men, but when they decide to be with a man and the man is lying to her, how is that her fault? Right? If he's not lying, that is a totally different story. But if you two decide to come together in this relationship, in this situationship, in whatever it is that you guys want to call it, and you decide to exchange body fluids, it becomes a two-person interaction, right? She didn't take your body fluid. You willingly partake in this. So why is it that now it's an issue if she decides to keep her child, you do not want to be in the child's life? You knew what you were doing when you lay down with her. So you should know that there comes consequences with your behavior. The YOLO life that a lot of men want to live is, I want to benefit from having you in my life. I want to benefit from your body. I want to benefit from your emotional feelings for me. I want to benefit from you however I can while you're around, but I don't want to put you in a position where I'm making you my significant other, somebody that is valid and important in my life. I just want to keep you lingering so I can have my way with you. And when I'm done with you, I just want to discard you. It doesn't work that way. Because this is where it comes into the situation when a woman gets pregnant and she decides to keep her child. Now you don't want to be a father to this child because, well, I didn't ask for this child. Well, honey. You did. You did. Because once you engage in sexual behavior with someone, knowing the consequences is of two things, pregnancy or STD, you are consensually consigning to this. So whether she decides to abort the child or keep the child is her decision, right? If you decide as a father that you don't want to be in this child's life, she can put you on child support. She can, and I keep saying this. If a man is doing his job within the structure of the foundation of taking care of his child, there's no need to put him on child support. But there are women they don't care. They're going to put you on child support regardless. But if he's not doing his job and he's trying to abandon you and leave you to take care of this child by yourself, I'm going to tell you to put his ass on child support. Right? Because if he don't pay the shit, then okay, you're going to pay the repercussions of this shit, because then the court is going to pick you up, put your ass in jail. You don't want the child, you shouldn't be engaging in sexual behavior that indicates that I want a child. And then men sit here and blame women. Oh, well, you knew I didn't want a child. Well, I didn't. Not me per se, but her. She didn't. It doesn't matter what your mouth says. Your action says different. That's like telling your child, do as I say, not as I do. What does a child end up doing? What you do. So regardless of what you say, your action says something else. So the person follows the actions that's being said to them. It's conflicting messages being passed because you're telling her you don't want this, but you're showing her that your body wants this. It's cognitive dissonance, right? That's what y'all call cognitive dissonance. That's engaging the brain to understand that the behavior versus the word that are coming out are two different things. Right? That part. You cannot go through society and behave in these formats or this way and believe that at no point this person that you're interacting with, this entity, this being, doesn't have a choice in what they choose to do with themselves or their body. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't. So in order for things to be clarified, let your mouth and your actions match one another, and it won't be any issues. You will not be in a situation that you don't need to be in. This is why emotional intelligence come into play for a lot of people, but you guys don't have emotional intelligence, right? It's not there. You feel that solving a problem is if a woman gets pregnant, you pay her off for her, if you have enough money, you pay her off for her to get an abortion, or you pay somebody to do whatever you guys do on the side so she doesn't have this baby, which is a little sadistic and fucked up, but we're not going to get into that. But you cannot force someone not to have a child after you engage in sexual activity stating that you want this child. Because if I'm having unprotected sex with somebody, I'm stating that I'm okay with the consensus of being pregnant and having a child by it. That's what it means. You're okaying it. Whether it's verbally, non-verbally, action-wise, you're consenting to it. So it's not one person that's consenting to it. It's both parties. So you cannot blame her because you consent to something by acting on your behavior versus your words. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah.